So, hello, mom. This is my presentation for the lesson 17 for Arduino. So here we have a seven segment, 4-digit display. So as you can see, this has been ticking in for quite some time. So all it really the wiring is pretty much pretty simple. So all of these colored wires essentially are connected to from the A to the decimal or the dot value. So here we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's basically to control the display for each of the segments. And then for the black ones are they're connected to the digital pins within the segment itself. So so let's move on to the code. Here we have the one. We have A, B, C. We basically have all of the declarations for all of the different variables. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we have the decimal, and then here we have the four digital pins from the display. So we set it to the input output pins, and then here we have a bunch of different variables that I will introduce later. Here we have a library called timer one, and the reason why we want to use timer one is because timer one here we can initialize a timer set by 0.1 seconds. So the reason why we want to set by 0.1 seconds is because we want to attach an interrupt, or basically it's like an event call. We want to run this function every 0.1 seconds, and let's quickly go through that. So right here, so every 0.1 seconds we have count increment. So essentially this is counting from it basically counts, and so every time it reaches 10 seconds. So in that case this will be so every 1 second, since 0.1 times by 10 it will be equal to 1 second. We want to set count to 0, so we'll reset and we'll count again, and then we want to set n by 1. So this is our way of incrementing n, or n is basically containing our seconds, and it will basically increment every second. And so we also have another variable called n-tens. I will explain that later. So here we have a limit for quad. We have a limit for 10 minutes. So once n reaches what essentially is 10 minutes, it will stop and then it will reset. And we have an extra piece of code that I'll explain later. So let's quickly go to the main loop. So the main loop, we have clear LCD, so clear the quad. We'll essentially clear the screen. So pick digit. So what pick digit does is that what pick digit does is that it goes through a digit. So here we attach a int. So depending on the int, we essentially select one of the digits. So digit 1, digit 2, digit 3, digit 4, and depending on that number, we essentially set one of them to low, and then it will immediately go back to high. And the reason why we want to do this is basically just cleansing it. So whenever we increment, for example, we change digit force value from 8 to 1, we want to clear that that lead first before we add the value of 1. So this essentially just acts as a way to clean it, so that we can run this function pick number, and pick number will essentially do the logic of adding activating the LCDs to display a number. So the reason why we have these formulas for each one here is essentially, since n is the number of seconds, this is our way of acquiring the different the different values within I guess in a minute format. So by adding this one, we get the thousands place. By adding this, we get the hundreds place, we get the tens place, and then we get the value for the single digit. And this is what we're gonna use to basically display the correct number in the display. So the simple logic for the pick number is that once we display that one, once it does the formula, it will give us a number, and so it will use a switch case. So based off the number that's given, it will essentially give us it will basically activate the different LEDs for that one, for that number. So if we calculate n minus by 100, and then it gives out 3, so it'll go through here, case 3, and then it will display 3 using this 3 function. And we also have another one. This pick number is only used for the tens place, and it only ticks up to 5 is because we are using a minute format, so it only goes up to 5, and then once it reaches 60, it will reset. Okay, so That's pretty much the main logic for the main loop. And the only thing left to show is the different these are just the different one. This is just to set the different displays. So clear LCD, we have set everything to low. Zero is everything but the middle segment, and then so on and so forth. So, and then finally, the n10s. So the reason why we have n10s here is, as you can see right here in the in the hundreds place, we have it divided by 10. I divided by 100. The reason why we have tens is so that we can count up to kwan, we can count up to 60s, because what this would mean is that every 100th number, that's the only time the number will tick up. But that's a problem because we're using a minute format. So 100 is too much of a it will basically desync the clock. So the clock will change its it will basically change its display, but the number of seconds is gone, it's off. So in order to remove that offset, what we do is we have a variable counting up to 60, and the moment it reaches 60 seconds, so as you can hear 60, it will basically add 40, so that way the moment it reaches 60 and then the display updates to 0, the number of seconds, or n, will also update the same. It will basically update the same time as the display. So the moment it ticks up to 60, we add 40 seconds to n because we're using 100. So 100 minus by 60 is 40. And so this way the display will show 0 as well as tick up the hundreds place. And so the seconds will also reflect that properly. And of course, the moment it offsets, the ends place will be set to 0 so that it can also count again. So that's pretty much it for the LED display. Thank you.